super interested in it. It's just my brain is scattered.
Right.
It's hard for me to understand.
How was the justice seeking yesterday? I know that it kind of took a lot out of you.
Oh, well, yeah, a long day yesterday. So, get up early in the morning, get ready
Uh-huh.
for this thing like 3 a.m., 2 a.m., whatever it was.
Because it's a couple-hour drive to get where you're going,
And
too,
then,
right?
it's only an hour and a half, but it ended up
Oh,
taking 2.5 hours. Crazy traffic jam, late for court.
gross.
Whole deal. Bottom line, I'm up there in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is a couple hours away from here, until 5:30 last night. Got the vehicle, drove back, and I'm sad to report I did not attend the F3 board meeting, virtual board meeting that
It's
night.
okay.
I was
No one held it against you. I
zero
made sure
energy left.
I made sure that the men understood that a man who seeks justice sometimes wears himself out in the service of others.
I was worn out. Even fart sack this morning. Sad.
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 I will say,
so is that did not meet on the daily mission AAR?
That's an OBE. That's an OBE. That's different.
Okay.
But my question is this, Dredd.
Yeah.
Did the judge rule favorably in your direction?
Don't know, because the type of court it is, the judge not just renders a decision, but also drafts an opinion in support thereof, which takes a couple weeks. So,
and here's my other question I would ask. Do you feel like the fact that you were wearing F3 socks gave you an edge?
Of course I did, because the other lawyers in the room are wearing conventional gold cap,
gold toe
socks.
Oh,
and
sad.
Blisters.
I was the
everywhere.
only lawyer, including
Probably
the
for
judge,
miles. Yeah.
who was wearing official sanctioned Mudgear F3 socks. And not only the physical feel, which is dynamic, but it's just the confidence that comes out of those. I know there's no magnets in there or anything like that.
No, copper or anything like that. Yeah.
Copper, but I just feel the power creeping up my legs.
I do think Malco blesses each one before they go out, though. I don't know that for a fact, but I think
I think at least the ones, because I was issued my set.
That's true.
Of F3 socks for free. Came in the mail.
Special gift.
I think it's an honorarium for partaking in the mission of spreading. We can call it promotion.
Yeah.
Spreading the word, the gospel of F3 socks across the world. And I think I had a pair
that
I
brothers.
purchased.
Come, sister.
I had a pair that I purchased with my own money, but he sent me the family of them, which includes the Rucker.
Yeah.
The short one.
Oh yeah, the crew. Oh,
the crew.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the long one that goes all the way up.
The
to
compression
leg.
sock. Yeah,
that's my favorite for sure.
Yeah, the F3 pantyhose. I like the
yes,
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a guy here named Pantyhose, actually.
I hope he is wearing F3 socks, compression style.
He has. You know what? I should buy him a pair just to.
Should be
nice.
Everybody, if there's a guy out there you love, or a guy out there that you have for whom you have compassion, my recommendation is to. It's a quick and easy process. You'll be amazed at how convenient and quick the Mudgear site is, and it's very secure. Before you know it, that product will be whistling to you through the magic of delivery system, and you're going to have it on your body, no time flat.
I'm going to read you something since we're already on the topic. Sharing a nice message from a PAX from yesterday.
Yeah.
This is Malco to me. So I got this order today, and another one from prior order with my region logo on the back. So I just want to drop a note to say I appreciate you, the swag you make, and what you do for the nation. As Dark Helmet said in the State of the Nation, that logo is more than just a logo. It's an emblem of shared values and brotherhood. Wearing F3 swag and seeing someone else with F3 swag, most definitely socks, is an instant bond even if you've never met. Quick shipping, quality work, good work. Avocado from the Stronghold region.
Avocado.
Life's too short. To wear crappy
Crappy.
socks.
Where is the avocado region? I never heard of that. Is that California?
No, the guy's name is Avocado.
Oh.
And from the Stronghold region, and I don't know where that is. If you know, please write us.
Yeah.
F3Nation.com.
Sure, it really does help people find us.
If you're going to be a winner, you're going to need a coach.
Sharpening doesn't happen by accident.
A blade left untouched will rust, and a man left unchallenged will stagnate. Every man needs friction, resistance, and a whetstone to grind away weakness and reveal his true edge. Welcome to the Whetstone, where we reject comfort, disrupt the status quo, and forge men ready for impact. Hosted by Dread, Dark Helmet, and me, the Plague. This is where men step out of the drift and into acceleration, because iron sharpens iron, and no man sharpens alone.
And we're back. That was ridiculous.
Hey, 5 minutes in, we did a good job there.
You know, I love to wear my F3 gear, like shirts, when I'm downrange or out of town. And my wife's always like, "Why are you bringing that?" Like, and it never fails. There'll be somebody that is like, "Oh, yeah. F3, I
Constant.
know." Yeah,
constant.
But it's been a busy couple weeks. We had State of the Nation. Just this last Tuesday. Just a phenomenal. Just to watch all of the work, but also like, of all the guys in the SLT, watching them present, I just thought it was so cool. Like, nobody's doing it for the credit. Like, everybody's like, how can we make this easier to give away? And I just love, like, that's sort of a mantra that I know, we say a lot in Omaha, is just like, keep giving it away. But lots of really, really cool stuff in that space. Would love just to encourage guys, to go and watch that. I think it's amazing, the growth. One of the things, Helmet, you mentioned a story that I hadn't heard before about a gal you had stopped to help somebody maybe on the side of the road, and she saw your shirt and she just said,
it was actually a sticker on my truck, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you would maybe just share that real quick again. Just
I will. I feel bad because I've shared it a lot, but it was I have a kind of a habit of stopping for folks on the side of the road. It's just something. It's part of that rescuer in my nature. And near my house, not too far from my house, I noticed there was a car stopped on the side of the road, and so I had the time and pulled over. And I hopped out, and I saw in the front seat African-American woman and an older African-American woman, and then a little African-American girl in the back, which I assume was 3 generations of family there. And so, I'm not a big guy, but I'm not a small guy. But
You're thick. You're thick.
Thanks. I'm not.
No, in a good way. 2 C's.
Oh, okay. I was like,
yeah. No, I mean, you present.
It's the way I say fat.
No. You're a ropey.
Extremely menacing.
You're ropey. You're ropey.
To the point being, like, it wasn't like, it could have been seen as menacing, right? It could have been seen as what is this guy doing?
You were a very menacing figure, Dark.
No, I'm just saying, you never know, right? I mean, it was how people are going to perceive something, right? So I go walking back.
To me, you look like a help bot. Hi, I'm help bot.
I am. Hi. You appear to be in distress. How may I assist you? For a tire change, press 1. Out of gas, press 2.
So you helped her, right?
So I stopped and I said, "Hey, what can I do for you?" But actually, as I'm walking back to her car, she hopped out ahead of time. Most time, I would say 90% of the time when I approach a car, they don't get out of their car. They'll roll down the window about this much, and then I'll talk to them, and then they'll talk. Yep. She hopped out of her car, which I thought was interesting, and I was like, "Am I going to get assaulted?" No, I didn't think that. I'm just kidding. And she says, "Oh, thank goodness. I got my mom in the car and my daughter, and I saw your F3 sticker, and I knew that you would help, and I knew I'd be safe." And then she hopped in the car, and we went and got I took the whole family, and we went and back to her house, right, a few miles away, and it was because of the F3 sticker that she saw. She said, "I knew I'd be safe, and I knew you would help," and so she felt perfectly comfortable jumping out of the car. Knew what kind of person I was based on the brand, based on that the logo, and that's honestly, I mean, gosh, that's how many years ago that happened. I keep sharing that story, but that's kind of what we want, right? That's what we're shooting for. We want to take back what has been damaged by the goo, right? We want, when men assemble in a place and we have the logo on our chest, we want them to go, oh, thank goodness. Safest place in town, right here.
Right.
It's the old Freedom Park story from Free to Lead, right?
Yep.
Dread.
Yep.
We don't need the cops here. We have the daddies.
We have the daddies.
Yeah, and that's us. So
that is us.
Yeah.
In fact, we're going to change our name from F3 to the daddies.
To the daddies. We're not. There you go. We're not.
Spent too much time and energy defending that. F3.
I know we've.
Yeah. So there are other large religious-based organizations that have recently changed their name for reasons that no one understands. And we've learned from that making a drastic change like that can be.
We'll no longer be called F3. We'll take and have the full length of our name. We'll be called the Fitness Fellowship and Faith Daddies. That is our new name.
Doing business as with DBA.
That's right.
Just DBA.
We've got to lengthen it. I really think it's going to make a big difference.
That's right. It's more accurate.
The harder it is to say, the more memorable it'll be.
That's a mouthful. Exactly.
Exactly. Think about the conversations we're having now. They're taking 16% longer.
There was also some, and I think, Helmut, you've said this a few times, throughout our conversations, right? But this idea that, some of the frustration, or I don't know if it's frustration or pushback, or just this idea that many men have been sort of let down, right, by other institutions that they thought were going to help support them in, defining masculinity or achieving their goals or whatever. And so I think that, continues to resonate with me. And then the other thing that I wanted to chat with you guys about today, because I saw a little bit of this come up in the Nantan channel on Slack about LDP, right? So some of the guys presented, and I think it's Camo who's sort of the in charge, the head of LDP. But there's a question of do regions have an LDP? And how do you start one? And I thought we could kind of talk through that, because I don't know that.
Let me see if I can get Camo on the line.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I know that LDP, right, is a thing in QSource, but I also think we're I don't know if it's a thing that you start, or I wanted to just kind of talk through that. If to me, QSource would be part of that. There's a lot of different things you could do.
Can be, sure.
Yeah, but
we would want you to use probably the principles that you find in QSource to guide your LDP effort.
Yeah.
QSource, a study on its own, is not an LDP effort. It's an education. It's part of the schooling that would come in the LDP process, right? So if you're familiar, it goes, say off. It's not a very good acronym in mine. I screwed it. But anyway, I just came up with that.
I tried to work an acronym out.
It's not I don't even know, but it's schooling, right? So you got to learn leadership. It's like the old Mr. Miyagi, I teach karate, you learn karate, right? So you got schooling. Then you got apprenticeship, which means, you go alongside a guy and you do it with him, right? And you assist, and he learns at your side. And then the next one is it's opportunity, where you kind of shove the little baby bird out of the nest a little bit, let him go and try it on his own, see how that goes. And then the F is failure. And, obviously some guys get twisted up with that word, but as we often say in F3, that's just information for the next iteration. It is simply part of the loop. It's just part of the feedback. And so once you see where you failed, you go and obtain more schooling in order to gain expertise in those areas where you failed. Then, if a guy's in that formal leadership development process with you, to apprentice you again, more opportunity, more failure. Eventually, you don't have to be apprenticed as much, right? You can simply, kind of, breeze through that step a little bit, and just go right to opportunity and failure. But you should always be continually learning. You should always be continually seeking for help to, as part of that learning process. So you have that as the process, right? You have that. And then really, I think that where guys get confused is they go, oh, okay. Cause it's, again, we're back to this, check the box kind of thing. Yeah. And they go, we study QSource, every Sunday, or whatever it is, or every Wednesday morning, boom, LDP, nailed it. And you're like, well, you've got the S. That's the S. Where are the opportunities? That's not even a full S, in my opinion. That's just a part of the S, right? Where are you apprenticing? Who are you using to apprentice? Where's the opportunity? Where's the failure? In F3, it's easier because we have built-in opportunities for guys to lead, right?
Yep.
Workouts, whatever it might be. But I think that the confusion sometimes becomes, guys say, we don't know what to do. And I kind of go, I don't, how do I help you understand more? Because I don't know how you don't know what to do, right? It should be pretty clear, right?
Yeah. It's kind of embedded into.
Well, look,
yeah.
What do you want the guy to do? Lead a workout. Great. Are you holding Q school? No? Well, that's probably step one, right?
Yep.
Now, what are you going to do? Who is his mentor in Q school? Who is his teacher or whatever, right? How is he going to go alongside and say, all right, you lead the workout or the warm up, let's say, for the workout next week, right? And you do that. And then he goes, that's pretty good. All right. The week following or day following or whatever, it's going to be you on your own. I'm not going to help you. And then you, as Dred's talked about before, you erect your own wing in the Museum of Failure, right? Right? Something like that, wasn't it? Where you're like,
if there's a museum here on Fort Benning,
the Museum of Failure here in Fort Benning.
Museum of Failure, you'd have its own wing. That's what he said.
Yeah. Right. So you go and erect your own wing of failure, and then you go, okay, do you need to go back to Q school because you suck? No. Okay. That apprenticing, and maybe that's what it is really. Maybe it's you don't even go back to the formal schooling. Maybe that's the way it is. But wherever you get that more information, whether it's through that apprenticing again, maybe he helps you again or whatever it is, you go back to the guy you learn. But then it's opportunity failure, and you keep doing it till you refine it.
Yeah.
I don't know why guys don't do that. I think there are some regions who do.
I think they do it and they don't realize they're doing it.
Now there is that.
Right?
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's what the point of the book is saying is, and the point of F3 is, we're not saying, well, if you want to have an F3 workout, you have to attend the F3 sanctioned Q school. And it's run
certified.
It's run quarterly, and you must pay us $1,000. And we're going to, and then only a certified, we don't do any of that. We're like, well, what do I have to do to be qualified to lead an F3 workout? So you got to be physically present, stand up and say, I'm the Q. Well, that's, how do I know how to do it?
Dive, when in charge, take charge. Yeah.
Right. Read these books. See if that helps. Go to another workout where a guy's already leading and do what he does. I mean, a lot of this is to decentralize and informalize the process. And I think we make the point pretty clear in the Q sources that the leadership development process, which is the process by which an organization develops new leaders, in F3 is centralized in information, but decentralized in application. So here's a Q source, you follow it, and then get down on the ground, do the best thing that works for you. And I hear those stories all the time of guys coming up with ways to do it. Do it how you want to do it. Well, what's the F3 sanctioned way to do it? There is no F3 sanctioned way.
There isn't one. Yeah,
there's
it's funny because, keep going.
As you say, there's a timeless principles of leadership, which we promulgate and repeat and give funny words to. I said the other day we were doing something. Somebody used the wrong name for a workout or a different name for an exercise, and I said, stop trying to randomly rename what I randomly named in the first place. It's like you want to call it. There's a couple things. We want you to call it the circle of trust. not the polygon of piety, but really, what we want you to do is form a rough.
Yeah, the principle is still the same. Yeah.
Right, a rough, and
some sort of enclosure.
I mean, how much clearer can we be that the decentralized execution means you, as the leader on the ground, make a determination as to what is the best way to do it here. Try it. If it works, do it again. If it doesn't, improve it.
Yeah.
When you get to something that works, tell the rest of us so we can try it. Maybe it'll work in Charlotte.
And we can spread that information around.
That information. And that the informality of it. I watch this. It's just going to sound like an odd metaphor, not metaphor, but comparison is, this Davos thing that they have every year. I don't know if you guys know what this is. It's this convention in Switzerland.
The World Economic Forum.
World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And some German guy gets up there yesterday, the day before, and I watched what he said. And he said, in Germany and Europe in general, we're too bureaucratized and we're making it too hard for entrepreneurs to implement new ideas.
Did they
I
run him
said,
out?
so I was like, well, you're German. I mean,
I know.
that's
Like,
it's like saying, you know,
do you even have free
too
speech over there? I
right,
don't know.
too long in Ireland, or we drank too much. No, I'm just kidding. Matter. So, I mean, it's kind of baked into your DNA to do that. All the Germans who don't want to live like that moved over here a long time ago, right? I mean, so it's a bureaucratic, top down, do it this way. This is the best way to control chaos culture. America's totally different. The wilder and crazier the idea, the more we go, that's just stupid enough that it might work, right? Still, at
Elon
least in a
Musk's
right,
landing
right.
rockets.
If he wanted to
I
stay in
don't know.
South Africa, that's where he'd be right now. But
Right?
it's a heck of a lot. Here is a place where if you got an idea and a little bit of money, you can start an LLC tomorrow, at least in North Carolina. The
Yep.
waiting time to establish an LLC, that's one
Is
survey people that across the world. How long does it take to organize means establish, organize a corporation in different, like Mexico, it's like 47 days. You got to wait for the North Carolina, literally, you get on the Secretary of State website, apply
pay
for
your
it. If the
$40 or
name isn't
whatever.
already used, pay your money.
Yeah.
It's like register this form, articles of organization is like one piece of paper. That's all you got to do. Boom, you've got it. And across the world, the easier it is to do that, that equates to wealth. There's a direct correlation between that, because the more decentralized it is and the easier it is to get something going, the more entrepreneurs will flock to that. And the entrepreneurial mindset is what we want. F3, we want to reward and incentivize risk taking and ideas, because then the rest of us see, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll
I2,
work.
sua
Right.
sponte,
Sua
leadership.
sponte, give it a shot. If it works, share the success. If it doesn't work, share the failure.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of these great stories start out with, man, I shouldn't have tried it, but wow,
It's
it
the
worked.
classic F3. They said it wouldn't work north of
Right.
24th Street, right? I mean,
That's right.
it's
Right.
and it's funny because guys come at me, and they did even after State of the Nation, that they're like, we think some of this stuff, the technology stuff you guys are talking about is too centralized, and it's killing this, blah blah blah. And I said, brother, literally no one is forcing you to use any of it.
Right.
All we're doing is saying these
It's here.
nerds are doing
Right.
amazing things.
Right.
If you want to build your own road, we're not going to stop you. But if you want to go on the one we're paving so that you can actually get further ahead and carve out new things and better things, and maybe even more important things, that's what we think you ought to be doing. But I'm not here to stop you, man. In fact, you going and carving out your own path and hacking away your own jungle, you might discover something that we never even dreamt of.
Right.
So by golly, go do it. All we ask is send a messenger boy back. Let us know that you found something cool so we can help.
Yeah.
I think people have become so cultured by the goo to expect resistance that they're shocked when we say, yeah, go ahead, try that.
Yeah.
Like, do I have permission to do? Why wouldn't you just, if it screws up, come back and say you're sorry? What's the mindset, the Cantori-based mindset, to run around afraid of what's going to happen tomorrow instead of just going out there and doing it? And if there's anything,
he says, as the ice storms approach.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get an ice storm.
Yeah.
Or not.
Who knows?
Nothing we're getting, but I mean, it's like I always say, just procrastinate the panic just for a minute. Procrastinate it. There'll be plenty of time to panic later.
Yeah,
but procrastinate it if you need to. To the car up guys. Car up. Just wait. He might turn.
Yeah.
Wait.
You don't know.
We don't need car up 6 miles down the road. Right when it's reasonably calculated that we won't have enough time to get out of the way. That's the time to start yelling car up. But America, I'm afraid, is going down the Euro path of yelling car up at every single little threat.
As soon as somebody starts their car in a garage,
Car up.
2 blocks away,
Car, car up.
So
Car up. Car up.
I a couple quick ones here. I won't say who, although it doesn't matter because the story is common enough that you could probably plug in just about any name, right? But the guy who something happens in his local region, he gets angry and he comes to me and he says, "That's it. I've had it. I'm quitting F3 and I'm going to go start my own thing that does this, this, and this different." And I know what he was expecting was,
Right.
I know what he was expecting was me to go, "Now, brother, come on now, let's," and I just was like, "What resources do you need for you to be successful in this endeavor? How can we help?"
How can we
That's what I
help
told
you?
him. And then he was like,
Oh,
wait, what? And I was like,
all right.
"Look, you have an idea that is roughly the same mission, right? It's a thing you believe in. It's not the same as us. I don't care, right? And you think it will work, then by golly, I want to help you because my job is not to accumulate men or accumulate power or accumulate anything. My job is to send every man on the mission that he feels and that God has put on his heart. That is my job, right?
Yeah.
To help him to overcome self-limiting beliefs. And as we've talked about on this podcast before, what really ultimately are God-limiting beliefs, right? Overcome those, get them out of your head and go and chase that thing that God put you here to do. I don't care what that is. Right? If it's a whole different organization called, F9 and you've got, some other, hey,
I'm gonna go out
do
and
it.
call it F4 and you can't stop me. You say that like it's a bad thing.
I know. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
you assume that I might try and stop you. I
Yeah.
will not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna go call it F4 and I can't stop you.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Welcome to
But
America.
just so you know, I won't stop you and wouldn't ever try. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to America.
Yeah.
So
That's the
this is
beauty.
top of mind because I was arguing it yesterday. It was like
Oh,
the
good.
dispute
Oh, in the
was,
court?
yeah, well, the dispute was in a limited liability company, which is designed to get away from corporate formalities. So you can start an LLC easier and you can make your own rules. You're not like a shareholder, you're captive. Like if you're a member of an LLC,
Yeah.
you can bargain for your own rules. Well, both Delaware, state of Delaware, and state of North Carolina have the same public policy, word for word, which I just love, which says it is the public policy of this state to give maximum effect to freedom of contract and enforceability of limited liability corporation uh, uh, contracts. In other words,
As much liberty as
what
possible.
as much it is the stated public policy, so that you start a company and you say, "Here's my operating agreement. Here's how we're going to do it." You can agree to anything, and the state is not going to involve itself in how you run your company. And if you don't like what's happened, and you come to us, the state, the courts, for relief, but what you don't like is set out in the agreement. You agree to it. We're not helping you. You agree to it. To me, that's what a grown up does. And I tell you what, in the nanny state environment, the gooish state environment that which we live, I don't mean a state, but the state of,
Yeah.
um, that is so refreshing to be reminded of that. I mean, after the fact, you don't like it that you waive this particular thing contractually, and now you can't avail yourself of it. You did it. Unless you can prove that you were a minor under, you didn't have the capacity to do it because you're in a coma and somebody took your hand and signed. If you were,
Like you auto-penned or
yeah,
something.
or there's literally a guy holding you a gun to your head.
Right.
Hey, we're not going to run around and tell people how they should organize their business affairs. We're going to leave you free to do it yourself. And if you don't like what happened, now don't do it again. So
Yeah.
that's the basis
Yeah.
of F3. If there's a compact, we have 5 core principles, a mission, and a credo. If you're living by that, we don't have anything
That's
to
all
say
there is.
about it.
And it's funny, we mentioned the ice and I think this is in keeping, but to bring it to a little bit more practical, kind of direct level with F3, right? Got a text today from somebody. It's a little group text thing that we got, and he says, "Hey, how do I? I'm the site Q, and he's in a different part of the state than I am, but everybody's going to see this winter weather. Right? I mean, it is the allegation. That's what they say. I'm about to, as a site Q, about to declare a state of emergency for his AO. What's the something policy? Blah 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 blah." And I was like, and I was very candid, and I just said, "Brother, you don't want to ask me that."
No, yeah, that's a
And he says,
confirmatory question. Yeah.
"Yeah." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Are you asking for my true and honest feedback?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, buckle up."
Yeah.
Because because I said, first of all, what exactly do you think you're going to close? Outside?" And
Right.
I said, "Now,
Yeah.
unless," and
Well,
I go,
if you decree no one to work out
"Yeah,
in your region, how are you going to enforce it?
yeah." Like, and I said, "Unless you're God, you can't close outside."
Right.
And he goes, "Well, the governor or something, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "No, that guy just thinks he's God.
Right.
Like, that doesn't
Right.
have anything to
Right.
do with whether or not he actually is." And I said, "So if you're asking me, the fact of the matter is, I do not understand. Like, it is truly, legitimately, and I'm not being glib when I say it, like, it is beyond my comprehension how a man intends to say this AO, this outside is closed." Now, I said, "Here's what you could say. I have assessed the situation for myself. It exceeds my level of acceptable risk for myself. I will not be there, but you should do as you see fit."
Right.
I said, if you feel like you got to say something, that's fine. You could say that. Like, if you're worried about a guy being like, "Oh no, where is this guy and why didn't he show up?" If you want to make an explanation prior to, you could do that if you want. Like that, I don't, that's fine. That's up to you. But
That's the GYA. That's the GYA. Here's some information. Ice storm a
GYA.
cometh. Yeah, I'm getting there. Ice
Oh, okay.
storm a cometh. Right? Ice
Yes.
storm a ice storm a cometh. I
She's going to be a biggin.
I will not emerge from my house during the ice
Yeah.
storm for workouts. You should GYA, govern yourself accordingly. Now, you've gotten the warning, right?
Yeah.
You've gotten what I'm going to do. And now you should govern yourself accordingly because
And
you have
yeah,
agency.
because
You have agency. Right.
somebody else on the
Oh,
chain goes,
what if I
"Well,
go out?
what we don't want to have is a guy getting hurt on the way back from a beatdown." And I said, "No one forced him to go.
No,
Right.
no.
So
Govern yourself
Yourself."
accordingly.
GYA.
Right.
It's a
I
silent A.
I love, and I think all these things are related, right, to
Yeah.
LDP. But I'm curious because some of the chatter that
He's
I'm
like, what do you
seeing.
guys go? You guys are off on a
I-
bad tangent.
No. I'm
Anyway,
tracking,
socks.
but I think some of what the questions or the conversation that I'm seeing in the leadership development or even the Nantan Slack channel out there are, there's some thought that like a lack of an LDP um is contributing to lack of like perceived impact of a region.
Oh, they
Um,
didn't like that, huh? When I said that? That hurt their feelings?
well, no, there's somebody out there that's saying like, and I think you said it in
I did.
if you're a region without an LDP, you're CrossFit, right? Was sort of what
I
you
said,
had
I mean, you could be,
basically CrossFit.
essentially, right? Well,
But
because then you're kind of leaving the back half of the mission off, is all I'm saying.
right,
Like, you're not invigorating male community leadership if you're not following the leadership development process of some kind, whether
yeah,
formal or informal,
Of
of some kind.
some kind.
And
Right.
you
But
must
you're not
determine there on the
right.
ground where you are, what that
Right.
looks like.
You're not
yeah, and
saying here is a prescribed leadership development process.
Nope.
If you're not following it, you're Orange
Nope.
Theory, whatever. You're not saying
yeah.
that.
No.
I
I'm saying
think
if you're not
where
doing
my
anything,
mind is
then what
kind
are you
of
doing?
struggling. So to me, the LDP, right, the schooling apprenticeship opportunity failure, that's the process. But then you apply, like I apply that at work with my team, right? And
Hopefully you
essentially
do.
my job as
Right.
their leader is to give them as many opportunities as I can and
Yeah.
then coach them through the failure, right?
Hopefully you do it with your kids. Hopefully you do it with your work,
Yeah.
your employees.
Yeah.
Hopefully you do it with your
Yeah.
friends. Hope you do it everywhere.
So in F3 then is it taking that process and applying it to fitness fellowship faith along, is that what we're kind of saying
Wait a second. You're
All
saying
right.
take the process and apply it to fitness, fellowship, and faith? Or
or sort
apply
of
it
teach
to
men to lead in those areas
no,
or
we'll say
find
that's why it's defined as the process by which an organization develops new leaders. That's LDP. Not that F3 does.
Okay.
It's an organization. In other words,
Mm.
this is leading right.
Yeah, it
Remember,
applies everywhere.
leading right is everywhere, right? So you
Mhm.
get right, you live right, you lead right. When we say invigorate male community leadership, we're not talking about the community of F3. We're not talking about just within
Yeah, because
our
that's another thing that guys think too is like, look, I would hope, and I think it's certainly possible. In fact, let's pretend this. A guy somehow Q source sitting right here to my left. Somehow this book becomes damaged in a way that the cover has been ripped off, right? And many of the words that refer directly to F3 have been somehow marred to unreadability.
can't read it. It's
All
like,
right.
well,
Somehow that's
yeah.
out. I would hope a guy would pick that up, read it for what it is. And I don't care. And even if it wasn't that he read F3 and he's like, I'm never going to an F3 workout. I don't care. But if he reads that and he goes, but I do see the need for me to be physically fit. I do understand why I would need to be in community. I do and he applies that to his life, even if he never joined F3. If a woman picked it up and said, you know what, I think this makes sense. I would like to apply these timeless leadership principles in my own life. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
It's kind of the point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really what we're saying is, hey, use this idea of schooling, apprenticeship, opportunity, failure, assess the need in your community, family, AO, if you're a site Q, whatever, and then apply that, right? So at some point you're going to hand a flag off to another guy. So then,
sure.
right?
And that would be maybe a more formal way, right?
Okay.
And that's what I was saying before, like, what is the outcome that you want? Well, we want more Qs. Okay. Are you having Q school? No. All right. Well, that's maybe a place to start, right? But let me tell you what it might look like otherwise. Okay. And I'll use Dredd as an example because he's here and he can correct me on the places where I get off
As you should.
because he is the ultimate human example. No.
And everyone must subscribe to my plan to the letter. To the letter.
Only if you want to be a good person. By the way, and if you don't, you're a bad person and we hate you.
We hate you.
Yes. And we
Agree or
will
die.
dox you. That's it. That's it. It's the only way forward here. So as an example, right? So Friday morning, I started, I did it once because I was doing a Whetstone with Dredd right afterward. Okay. So I went to this workout. They call it SIP, suffer in place. There's no running. You have the only real criteria is you got a bag and a bell and you got to stay in the hot box. Right. And as it turns out, the top of the hobo steps is the limitation on the one side, right? And the top of the ramp on the other. So I know the limitations, but basically you stay in place. It's not, we're going to cover 3 miles and do all this other crap.
No string of pearls. Yeah.
Yeah. None of that kind of stuff. Right. So it's basically, you're suffering and you're basically standing there or within, 100 yards, all the way around or less actually. So you get the idea. So, and then right afterward, we pull cinder blocks over, sit down right there in the parking garage, and we begin a Bible study. And that's I don't remember how long that goes. 45 minutes, I guess.
30.
Half hour, something like that. 30. Yep. There you go. I guess we just yammer sometimes.
Sometimes we yammer.
Designated for 30, right? So you got 45-minute workout, I think a 5-minute break, 30 minutes, whatever it is, right? So Dredd never said, and this is the model by which we shall go forward, or whatever, right? But here's what happened. He schooled through his example, right? Now, he apprenticed unwittingly because he can't help himself. He doesn't even know he's doing it hardly, right? He sits on the thing and then he opens the discussion, or he'll go, all right, baby Shapiro, start the discussion. You like that? It's not his real F3 name, but he kind of looks a little like Ben Shapiro. Yeah.
That's his third F3 name.
It's his third F3 name. Yeah. But start it or whatever, right? And so he does it because it's just natural to him, right? But he doesn't say, I'm now going to school you on how to launch an AO and how to do this and how to do that, right? Now he gave, he apprenticed him, kind of walked him through it. And here's where the opportunity comes. Now, if it was formal, Dredd might go, my son, you've been apprenticed, go start another one just like this over here. That's your opportunity. And then report back your failure and I'll school you more, whatever. Right. But I decided because I really like that format, there's just something raw. And for me, especially the guys that post there, they are, they're killers, man. they're killers. They're the guys you take to war. And so there's just something very, I don't know, just very masculine. It really, really speaks to me. And so I've decided, and I told our Nantan out of courtesy, because I am a courteous man, that I was going to do the same thing. And he was like, "Well, where would you do it? How are you going to do this?" And I said, "Don't worry about it, right?" But I've been schooled by this is an informal, right, LDP. I've been schooled by the example that was set, by the opportunity to or the apprenticeship of being right there with me and kind of walking me through and teaching me a little bit how to do it and letting me kind of get my feet wet. And now
Mhm.
I'm going to go take that opportunity. He didn't tell me I had to, but I'm going to take that opportunity. I'm going to go somewhere else and try it. And when it fails, I may come back and go, what is it you're doing different here? Because this is what I'm running into out there. Right. He'd be like, "Oh, you started one. That's very interesting." Right. Now, that's more of an informal version, if you will.
Yep.
Does that kind of jive, Dred? Does that sound?
Yeah, it's exactly
Yeah.
what we do. I
Yeah.
mean, ultimately, what do we want? Plant, serve, grow. Well, yeah, I could whiteboard that and have you sitting in a little classroom. Let me tell you how this all works. Or we could just do it
Yeah.
and watch it. And this is how you do. This is it's you know they the best time to teach somebody anything is when they are receptive to learning and they need the knowledge. Those two things come together.
Yep.
And you think about the modern classroom where we
Mm.
take kids, put them in these, four rows of seven, whatever, and say, now is the time you will learn this. And the bell rings and the bell rings and they get up and they get out. And it's like, it's does not account for whether or not they're receptive to learning. Generally, they're not, right? It does not account for whether you're giving it something they need that they need. That's the hardest time it is to teach somebody something.
Mm.
And to teach somebody something when they're receptive to learning and they have a need for it, you have to be proximate and then you have to recognize it. You have to see it. The guy really wants to know, right? He's really open for it. Those two things come together all the time. Hey, half the time they'll ask you, how did you do that? Or what should I do here? And that's the time to say, okay, well, I got 10 minutes. Let me give you this. Let me do some positive habit transfer. Let me explain something to you, or let me show you something real quick. In the Army, we called that hip pocket training. What it meant was you're supposed to have some sort of instruction in your hip pocket. Like, so
Mm.
if you're waiting for a truck, and you got 20 minutes, the truck's late or whatever, you're not supposed to just sit there with your thumb in your mouth. You're supposed to take something you know how to do and transfer it to a guy who doesn't know how to do that. I mean, that's leadership.
Again, an informal
Informal, hip
way,
pocket.
but
Yeah.
Right.
LDP.
That's
Yeah, I
right.
mean
It's part of
that's
an
it. Schooling.
LDP, right? But
Yeah.
I have to. If you think about how did you learn how to do like this thing, whatever task, and you think back, was I sitting in a 7x4 classroom?
Mm.
Was
Mm.
I? Was it at a time when? And when did? A lot of times you can't even say, but a guy will say, "Oh yeah, this guy taught me that." Where were you? I mean, we were on an airplane. I didn't even know who the heck he was, and leaned
Yeah.
over to me
We're
and
out
said,
fly
"I mean,
fishing or what? Yeah.
a fly fish or what
Yeah.
whatever it is." That's really the heart of mentorship. Is
Yeah.
you're always about the transfer of positive habits and knowledge, and helping a guy ingrain the head knowledge into heart knowledge by giving him a chance to do it. Let me explain it to you. Like when we're doing those Bible studies, man. Like very quick. The way we do Bible studies in Metro is basically open the book, read it. What's it mean? How do you apply it in
Yeah.
your own
What
life?
do you think about that?
What
Yeah.
what was God's purpose in putting it here in the book for us to read? Here's something that happened in my life that made, I read this piece of scripture 5 years ago, and here's what happened. You tell a little story. And another guy says in his back of his mind, wait a second, that's all we do. That's all we do. So I can
Uh-huh.
just say, this is what I think it means, and this is how I use it. He just did
Yeah.
that. And you say, Bob, what do you think it means? Well, I think it means this, but I'm no biblical scholar. Tell me what you think it means without the parenthetical. let's just all agree right now we're no biblical
Well,
scholars.
none of us are biblical scholars. Moving
Not
on.
a biblical scholar, right? That was the jokey part about the disclaimer. I'm not a trained,
Not a
right?
professional. Yeah.
That was so you didn't have to say it all the time. I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy. Yeah, just a guy, right?
We know.
Remember that part of Acts? I think it's chapter 4, where the Sanhedrin is like they couldn't get John and Peter to stop talking about Christ, and they're like, "You need to stop." And they're like, "We won't," whatever. And they observed that they were ordinary, unschooled men, but they had been
Big
with
problem.
Jesus. But they had been with Jesus, right? Ordinary, unschooled men, but they had been with Jesus. Jesus spent 3 years hip pocket training these guys. So when he ascends, they're left back. They knew what to do, and they just started doing it. And they're bumping into obstacles and whatever. They knew what to do. They've been through the schooling. I don't think there was ever a time where Jesus said, that I can recall in the,
4 by 7.
Bible, right? Like, so when he sends them out, right? He sends them out initially, just the 12 out to on their first missionary journey. Sends them out, comes back. They're all excited. They're tired. Nobody can talk. Next thing he says is, "All right, get in a boat. We're going to go so you guys can rest." And he gets in a boat, and the people all see him, and they're chasing him along the side of the lake, right? They're chasing him. They land the boat. Jesus says, they're like sheep without a shepherd. So he begins teaching them. They get to the end of the day. The disciples who were supposed to get a rest come to him and say, "We got to send these people back to town, man. They got no food." Jesus says, "You feed them." They said, "Well,
Like,
where are we supposed to get the food?" He says, "What do you got?" We got five loaves, five loaves, 3 fish. He goes, "Go bring them here." Breaks them up. Go feed them. Sit them down. First, he says, sit them down in groups of 50 to 100. Why do you do that? Task organization, right? So now they're the size of platoons and companies, right? Now hand out the stuff to them. Think about all the leadership lessons are all compacted in that one set of vignettes. Yeah. Number one, hip pocket. Okay, we had a plan. We're going to go to the other side of the lake and take a rest. Plan disturbed. Why? These people are in need. And they're receptive to be taught. They want to be taught. How do you know it? They just chased us around the lake. Right? So, Jesus teaches them. Right? Then the disciples go, "Well, how are we going to feed them?" It's like he teaches them something else. What? To be reliant upon God and not themselves. I think it says that it would have taken a year's wages to feed all those people. No, actually it didn't, right? It took nothing, right? Teaches them that the resources that they have on hand, those 5 loaves and 3, that's enough, right? Not humanly possible, but divinely possible. So there's no point in time where they say, and Jesus woke up in the morning and said, on the training schedule today, we're going to have, teaching people in need, and none of that was there. He just did it because that was how the situation unfolded. And as you go through life, you think about it with your own kids. The most valuable lessons you teach your own children are when you're driving down the road, somebody cuts you off at traffic and you don't react. And your kids say, "Well, Daddy, why did you just let him do that?"
Yeah. You didn't wake up in the morning and be like, "Kids, today we're going to go driving around and find someone to cut us off so that I can teach you the principle of not reacting."
That's of not reacting and saying, "What if I didn't?"
Press 1 for lesson. No.
That's right. I mean, that's why we don't say have these. Here's the curriculum. We don't say that.
No.
We say here's the knowledge, and we hope the wisdom in the Q source. How you get from this book to your head to the men you're leading is up to you.
Figure it out.
Or don't use this book.
Or
use something from John MacArthur.
I was just going to say, the beauty of it too is that then, and this is what kind of came out again as we're, talking to these guys after the State of the Nation, all this kind of stuff, right? Is, look, man, all we're saying is, here's what we have learned over time that seems to work in a majority or even a good number of situations. In the absence of your own thing, which is better suited for you, the men you serve, and the place you are, in absence of that, feel free to use this until you come up with something better. And then once you know there's something better, if you would be so kind, let us know, because there's probably someone else, somewhere else, in a very similar, almost identical situation to you. And the way that you do it, it's actually a little bit different than the way that we maybe prescribed it, or the way that it's a little bit different than the guys in St. Louis. It's going to speak to the guys in Omaha. And they're going to be like, well, crap, if we do it that way, it'll work here. Right. And that's why we really try so hard to have kind of just enough of this centralization for that information to flow. Right.
Yeah.
Because that way, look, and I tell a guy too, like I said before, if you want to reinvent the wheel, I'm not going to stop you.
Here's a hammer and chisel.
That's fine.
Have at it.
Knock it out, man. And if you find if you find a better way to make a wheel, just let us know.
Right.
I don't think you will, but
you're better off taking a wheel and making it marginally.
Yeah. Improving it. Yeah. Rather than going like, I'm going to go back to triangles and see how this works first.
I know it's true, because I'll go to a workout of some far-flung place and they doing the same stuff. I don't know where they got it. And I listen to the End Cadence podcast to talk about the same. They got somehow the crazy, chaotic, leaky, balky, nerdy system we have of gathering and disseminating information is incredibly powerful. And I think it is because it's based on the premise of men who are ready to learn and need something. Yeah. That's how we're disseminating it. And that's getting it. It's getting it through, and they're putting it to use. I saw a Twitter thing from Tom Brady this morning where he says,
thanks F3 for
no, he said a leader has to pass the praise and take the blame. He said it word for word. Now, we could.
There's only one place you could have gotten that.
Yeah, well, right. Tempted to say that. No, that's a timeless piece of wisdom that all effective leaders since the first caveman have always used. And it's no shock to me that a guy that managed to get 7 Super Bowl rings soaked that up somewhere along the line. Of course, that's the way it works, right?
Because we tried it the other way, and it failed miserably.
It fails miserably. And when I watched all those Jocko those, I think there's like a new thing.
He's got some good ones lately. The echelon front.
There's a whole, it's not even echelon front. It's a Jocko, and he'll say,
like Jocko quote or
Jocko quote
something.
And I say, I haven't seen one yet where he says, candor's for the birds. It's better to trick people. I haven't seen that. Right. I haven't seen that one yet. And that leads me to believe that we're all operating out of the same basic book of wisdom, and we change and modify the way it's presented to fit the situation, to fit the person that we're presenting it to.
As I'm hearing you guys talk and just kind of, there's also some conversation in here about like smaller AOs and sort of phases, right? Do you get into sort of like a, recruit and retain before you start developing and all of that? But one of the things that came to mind,
you can't do anything until you reach a critical mass of 25 men, and then you cross the threshold.
I'm not getting married until I'm financially independent.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right. We're not ready for kids yet. First, we need to have these things squared away. Yeah.
But for me, one of the things is I'm hearing you talk, I think that's a barrier for me is I think there is like this definition of a perfect leader. And so then I want to make sure I have
it.
I don't know what it is.
Perfect leader.
I mean, Jesus, maybe, but like I look at like guys like you, and I'm sort of like, well, if I want to,
that guy's not perfect.
If I want to lead like that, there's a certain amount of knowledge or skill that I have to have, and so then I hesitate. And what I'm hearing you say is it would be better to just go and do.
Well, here's the thing, and this guys. I don't know how to explain this differently. And so I'm maybe Dredd can help me because he's a much better articulator, and I'm not like it really is true.
Fact check, true.
The failure is not like the thing where it's like, oh, well, now I guess I know that doesn't work. Right? The failure, and we say it, but maybe guys don't hear it the right way, but like failure literally is the step. Like it must be courted, and the faster that you get there, the quicker that you learn and the better you can iterate. Like there's no shame in it. There's no problem with it. It literally must
It's the
be.
basis of the scientific method.
You
Hypothesis,
have
test, and
to.
fail. Right? You
Yeah.
have to. You have
Like that's
to.
it. It's the feature. It is not a
Right.
bug. It must be incorporated. Like you must figure out like, ooh, what's the best way I can fit? Now, you do your best not to,
Sure.
right? But the point is, just like Dred said, move. Move. The momentum will carry you. When you trip and you fall, dive, roll, hop up, keep going,
Keep going.
right? Don't hit the ground and be like, my pants are dirty. You know, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's your
Yeah.
skin knee? I'm trying
Yeah.
as hard as I can. Where's your skin knee? I don't see a skin knee. Right? I mean, you should be,
And not the
your guardrails should be full of dents. I mean, full of dents.
horribly battered.
Right. Boom, boom, battered because you're banging up against them. I mean, otherwise, if they're pristine and clean, that means you didn't need them. You got them in the wrong
Didn't need 'em
spot.
anyway.
You didn't need them anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how the process should absolutely work. And I don't the saying that you need a leadership development process is basically speaking into a world of organizations that don't value
Yeah.
leadership at all, that
Right.
don't understand it and don't value it. And so
In fact,
for
it
lack of
terrifies them
guidance,
to make new leaders because it could
that
compromise their own power.
right, and it's
Yeah.
the opposite. And to get that through your head is hard to do, but it is the more leaders that you help develop, the more powerful in the cosmic sense you get, not your own personal power, but your power of something more powerful. And every time I see somebody in an organization in which I'm involved, work, church, whatever it is, leading, doing things, trying things, and I think, man, this is a great place to be. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great that this is happening. Uh, Personally, since my ultimate life problem is dormant male community leadership. That's the thing that wakes me up that I can't stand. Can't stand to be around it. Uh, like you realize what heaven I'm in on earth watching F3 just like, you know, wi- mostly without me doing anything but once a week sitting here talking on the Zoom. I mean, like how fulfilling that is for me that is
Yeah.
actually happened. You know, that we are changing the mindset of men, one man at a time, away from a Cantori based, I can't try anything, I got to be afraid of the freaking rain, to I have a duty and responsibility to my family and my community to lead it. And the the I am have to exercise my agency virtuously. That is not an option. Not the failure is not an option because it's a mandatory, but failure to try is not an option. Failure to lead is not an option. We are not allowed to not try. That was not provided to us. The man who buried the talent is the one who got cast
Yeah.
out. If you
Yeah.
recall the story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. The expectation that God has, I think, is, we will not be held accountable and we will not be judged for those times when we fell short, because fall short is the whole deal. He made up for fall short, so
Right.
don't worry about it. You're
Right.
covered, right? And so what we will be judged for, though, is failure to fall short. It's failure to
Right.
to even begin, right?
It's
Yeah,
failure to
exactly.
fail. It's not failing. It's failure to fail. That's the failure. That's
Yeah.
wacko. I'm gonna sit down, write that down, and see if I can make it work.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think
failure to
about
fail.
failure to fail.
when
The failure is failure to fail, and that is what
It's
we
true,
are
though.
creating. That is what goo is doing. It's
Yeah.
convincing. It's convincing people that chaos is bad, and that which is the same as saying air is bad. We're surrounded by uncontrollable circumstance from the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you go to bed, and to be afraid of that, or delegate your agency, or to surrender your agency to a distant Cantori expert to do your thinking for you, to control the chaos, is the most unmasculine thing I can possibly think of.
And I believe that it is in direct opposition
To what
to
God
the
wants.
plan that is,
Right.
that is out for you.
Yeah.
I don't think I said it exactly this way in State of the Nation, but I have said it this way in the past, and I reiterate it here, that a man must accept and acknowledge that he is an agent to act and not an object to be acted upon.
Good way to put it. Right. Right. You are the subject, not the object.
Yeah.
I think of there are, so like, 5 years ago or more, all I knew was how to click record on a Zoom, right? And then I was like, well, I think I could do a podcast, right? No clue how to do that. And so what's interesting to me is just through feedback from people that are professionals, and over time I've gotten better, still have a lot of room to grow, but it's interesting that that's a place where I clearly have been willing to fail and allow that to move me forward. But there are other areas where I'm not doing that. So it's interesting.
Low emotional risk if the podcast doesn't get done right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I also notice, like, the podcast, my motivation for that is in service
Fame
of
and
others.
fortune.
And so then I
Oh, I see.
wonder if some of my motivation still for some of these other things is self-serving. So then I'm so worried about failure because I worry how that's gonna. But if I'm just focused on serving people and all I'm trying to do is find better ways to do that, then the failure is like part of that service. I don't know. Just I'm thinking out loud here, but I mean, when I first started doing podcasts, I came in like a wrecking ball. I never fell so hard in love. That's kind of a stretch there.
No, your segues are
okay.
getting better there, because
not Geddy
until
Lee.
you said wrecking ball, yeah, I would.
I know. I didn't see it coming.
No, okay,
Yeah.
I'm working on it. Hey,
It's
look at that.
good.
Because
That's
before
failure.
when you first
LVP.
started, you hitch a little bit. You go like you had a little, like, I'm getting ready to. Your eyes.
You kind of get this look,
like,
and then you look because you're about to read some lyrics.
You've got it written down somewhere, and you're like, but that was smooth until you hit wrecking ball.
Positive habit transfer, LDP at its finest.
That's failure, man. Getting better and better.
Yeah.
Good work.
No, I love it. It is really great. I think one of the things I love is State of the Nation happened Tuesday. It's Friday, and guys are already like asking questions, right? They're getting into the Slack channel and saying, I get it. We need to do this. We want to do this. How do we do it? And so as we're going forward, trying to just pull some of those things into our conversations, because I think there's just, I love how you said it, Helmet, that if you're just doing the workouts and leaving half of the mission behind, it's not really F3, right? That's not really what we're trying to do here. Yeah.
It's a start. It's a start.
Yeah.
And it's not so much that you're doing it and you're not doing the leadership part, Dredd. It's more that you have abdicated your responsibility to do that part.
Right. Yeah. I have not yet watched.
You can not be there yet.
Nation.
That's fine.
Yeah. I have not yet watched. I will watch it.
I feel deeply unsupported, and I'm hurt.
The problem is because Dark is such a good leader. He does it at 8:00 at night. So the guys in the West, it works for him. But 8:00 at night,
you're out.
That's Prince Charming time.
Yeah. Well, we also, I think, as we're looking ahead, I think we also, I think diving into this idea, like, how do we get more comfortable in the chaos, right? And I know we've kind of mentioned Zebra Jockey before, but I think diving into some of that, because I believe that's really what that's what concept and content is all about.
It's one of the best articulations of
adapting to chaos rather than trying to control it.
And it is maybe my literal favorite thing.
Okay.
I'm giving you the magic magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass.
Okay. Sure.
All
right. Put that on a chain and
it's in my desk.
Ship it.
It's in my desk drawer. Yeah.
Appreciate you, fellas. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Man. See y'all.
Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heartbeat's the same. Every man's got a story to tell, from the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside, standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah, every man's got a story. We've been broken, we've been bruised, but we rise again and we don't get to choose. Through the fire, through the fight, every man's story burns in the night. Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heartbeat's the same. On a story to tell, from the valley low to the mountaintop yell. Every man's got a story inside. Different roads, but the heartbeat's the same. Every man's got a story to tell, from the valley low to the mountaintop yell. Every man's got a story inside, standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah, every man's got a story. Every man's got a story. Voices rise like thunder, they roll. Truth in the pain, it's shaping the soul. Chains may rattle, but they break in time. Every man's story is yours and mine. From the struggle to the glory, every man's got a story. In the dark or in the light, we keep marching through the night. Every man's got a story inside. Every man's got a story to tell, from the valley low to the mountaintop hill.